The story began on a completely normal day in the middle of the street. Suddenly, without any warning, the ground split in half. Not just a crack, no, a massive black fracture tearing the street apart. It was wide, endless in depth. People ran in terror. Cars stopped right at the edge, and then silence. After the chaos, the government evacuated the area immediately. They needed to know what was down there. No advanced technology worked, so they made a decision: send a man down. They brought a massive crane, a thick, heavy-duty cable, and one of the bravest Special Forces soldiers. They secured him tightly, gave him a powerful flashlight, and a live camera feed broadcasting everything above. They told him, "Go down and see what's there." And so, he descended into the heart of the darkness, meter after meter, 100 meters, 200 meters. Everyone stood above, holding their breath, eyes locked on the screen. He looked like a tiny dot falling into an ocean of black. The camera showed dark, rocky walls, wind howling through the void. And then he stopped. His voice came through the radio, terrified. "There's something moving below me. Pull me up, now." Before the operator could react, the cable started swinging violently, left, right, and then a sound that made hearts drop. The cable went slack. The crane pulled it up fast, and when it reached the top, the end was gone. Not cut clean, no, it was torn, ripped apart, like something bit through it. The soldier was gone. The camera, dead. The government didn't stop. They said maybe it was a coincidence, so they sent another and another, but the same thing happened. They go down, they scream, the cable shakes and comes back, cut. No one returned, not even a body. People started staying away from the pit. Real fear. What's down there? What eats humans and tears through solid steel? No one knew. No one realized we were never supposed to search for what's below, because whatever was down there was coming up. 6 months later, on a dark, miserable day, the ground started shaking again.
But this time, the tremor was violent, relentless. A magnitude 10 earthquake hitting the entire world at the same time. I was watching the news on TV, live broadcast from New York City, and then we saw it. Massive gray hands rising from the cracks, grabbing onto buildings, streets, their fingers unnaturally long, their nails black, broken, sharp like blades. And then the giants emerged, each one over 50 meters tall, like walking skyscrapers. Their bodies completely bare, skin gray, cracked, like dry earth. Their faces, no noses, no ears, just wide black eyes and mouths filled with uneven yellow teeth. The moment they appeared, no negotiation, no warning. They started walking, crushing everything. People, cars, buildings, like ants beneath them. Immediately, the US military and NATO forces deployed everything. I saw it myself. Tanks firing direct shells at a giant's leg. The explosion hit, smoke everywhere. We thought that was it, but when the smoke cleared, the giant was still standing. Just a scratch. Black, thick fluid dripping down. And it didn't hurt him, it made him angry. He bent down, lifted a 60-ton tank with one hand, and threw it into another tank behind it. Both exploded. Warplanes filled the sky, launching air-to-ground missiles. Explosions across their bodies. But these giants didn't feel pain. One of them reached into the sky, grabbed a jet mid-maneuver, and slammed it into the ground. It exploded instantly. Humanity was losing, fast. Cities collapsing within hours. World leaders made the final decision: tactical nuclear strike. Warnings blared, sirens screamed, piercing our ears. My wife, Lena, and I, we prepared. We went down into an old bunker beneath a residential building, built during the Cold War. We sealed the reinforced door behind us, and then we felt it. The ground shaking in a way we've never felt before. When the bombs dropped, the bunker was shaking like crazy. Dust falling from the ceiling, the power went out. We sat in the dark, waiting for death or survival. One day passed, then 2, then 3. And when we finally dared, we turned on the external camera. By some miracle, it was still working, running on backup power. And that's when we saw it. The nightmare. The giants standing in the middle of destruction. Nuclear ash everywhere. Their skin burned slightly, but they were still alive. Their eyes glowing, even more terrifying than before. The nukes destroyed humanity, destroyed civilization, but the giants remained, rulers of a burned world. 3 years passed, and we were still buried inside that bunker. Life was slow torture. Canned food running out, water dirty, filled with rust and sediment. We lived like rats, afraid to make a single sound. Lena tried every day to fix an old military radio. We found it down there, and one night, through the static, we heard a voice, weak, human. To any survivors, the last refuge is in the north, the Heart Mountains, the mechanical gate. Lena looked at me, her face pale, her bones showing. And me, I was barely alive, a skeleton. Death here was certain, just a matter of time. Death outside was possible, but there was a chance, 1%, to live. So we chose to leave. We packed what we had, weak flashlights, a long, strong rope, 2 bottles of water. The first problem, the door. The bunker door, rusty, sealed for years. I pushed with everything I had. Nothing. Lena grabbed the metal pipe, used it as leverage. We kept trying for over an hour, sweating, terrified to make noise in case something outside could hear us. Then, a crack. The gear snapped. The door moved just a little, 20 centimeters. We squeezed through, barely. We made it to the stairwell. But then, the stairs were gone, collapsed. A massive gap between our floor and the one above. The only way? A narrow strip of concrete right against the wall. I went first, carefully, step by step. Then I signaled Lena to follow me. But as she stepped, her foot slipped on loose gravel, and she froze. She fell into the void. But at the last second, she caught the edge with one hand, hanging in midair. Nothing beneath her but darkness. My heart dropped. I got down fast, grabbed her hand, pulled with everything I had, and I got her up. She was shaking. We sat there for a moment, breathing hard, trying to recover from the fear. Then we stood up and kept moving toward the building exit. The moment we stepped outside, the smell hit us. Burnt, rotten, death. The city was a skeleton. Half-collapsed buildings, rust-covered cars, strange, twisted plants growing everywhere, wrapping around everything. The sky, a dull, lifeless gray. We looked at each other, held hands, and started our journey through hell. We moved on foot, no protection, sticking to narrow side streets, avoiding the open areas where the giants roam. The ground was covered, broken glass, rubble, every step crunching beneath our shoes. Too loud, too risky. And then we heard it, a sound, rhythmic, heavy, the ground shaking beneath us, a puddle nearby rippling. We hid instantly behind a rushed shop, and through the broken wall, we saw it, a giant, walking down the main street, massive, covered in scars, holes in its skin, moving slowly, crushing streetlights without even noticing. The problem, it was blocking our path. We had to cross to reach the north, so we waited until it passed, its back turned to us. I whispered, "Now." We ran, crouched low, moving between the cars. Halfway across, Lena's bag got caught on a car mirror. She pulled. The mirror snapped. Loud. The sound echoed through the empty street, like a bell. The giant stopped. Slowly, it turned, its massive body facing us, that wide black eye scanning everything. We were exposed, nowhere to hide. Except a large truck flipped on its side, 5 meters away. I pushed Lena. "Move!" We slid under the trailer, just in time. The giant started walking toward us, each step a small earthquake. And then I saw it, its massive heel right beside the truck. The smell, horrible, like rotting flesh, its body heat. And then I saw its face, upside down, looking through the gap under the truck. Its eye moving, left, right, searching, looking for us. We stared at each other, frozen in terror. Lena's tears falling silently. The giant reached out, its long finger pushing the truck, trying to expose what's underneath. The truck started shifting, sliding, grinding above us, metal screaming. And if it moved any further, it would crush us right there.
But then, a piece of a collapsing building fell in the distance, a loud crash. The giant stopped, turned toward the sound, and walked away. We waited 1 minute. Then we crawled out from the other side and ran as fast as we could. We reached an abandoned hotel, rushed inside, up the stairs to the second floor, breathing hard, trying to get off street level, away from open ground. Then we made a decision: go underground. We found a manhole cover, slightly open, in a narrow alley. We pushed it with effort and climbed down, a metal ladder fixed to the wall, leading into an old service tunnel. Dry, no water, but the ground covered in fine dust. It rose with every step. The air, cold, pitch black. We turned on our flashlights. The beams cut through the darkness, revealing broken cables, massive rusted pipes along the walls. The place was silent, too silent, but not for long. We started hearing something, a low, muffled groan, like metal crying, and then a violent tremor. The dust on the ground started shaking, lifting into the air, and that's when we understood. A giant was walking right above us, and this old tunnel couldn't handle its weight. We looked up at the concrete ceiling. A crack appeared, small at first, then spreading, fast, like a snake running across the tunnel. The sound of concrete cracking echoing in our ears. The ceiling was about to collapse. I screamed, grabbed Lena's hand, and we ran, as fast as we could, through the narrow tunnel, flashlights shaking in our hands. Behind us, we heard it, the collapse, getting closer, the world caving in. A thick cloud of gray dust chasing us, choking us, the pressure from the collapsing tunnel pushing us forward. Ahead of us, a light. At the end of the tunnel, a vertical emergency ladder leading to another exit. Lena climbed fast, 2 steps at a time. I followed right behind. As we climbed, a muffled explosion behind us. The tunnel we came from collapsed completely. Massive sahur sealed it shut. A pressure wave, air and dust shot up the shaft, pushing us upward, hard. We reached the metal cover, pushed with everything we had. It burst open, and we fell onto the street. A huge cloud of dust erupting behind us like a chimney. We got up, shaking, looked back at the hole that almost became our grave. Then we ran before the giant returned. We made it out into a parking zone. We needed a vehicle. The mountain was still far, and danger everywhere. We searched the cars. Most were wrecked or missing wheels, but then we found one. An old pickup truck, flat tires, but usable. The engine looked okay. One problem: no fuel. We had to siphon gas from other cars. I grabbed a plastic tube, started siphoning. The taste burned my throat. I coughed hard, but we filled the container, poured it in. I tried to start it once, twice, 3 times. Then it roared to life, loud, black smoke pouring out. We hit the highway, driving as fast as possible, dodging potholes, burnt out cars. Lena kept looking back, and then she screamed, "There's one coming!" I checked the mirror and saw it. A different kind of giant, a runner, lean, tight muscles, moving on all fours like a predator. Fast, too fast, jumping over cars, closing the distance, fast. I slammed the gas. The truck shook violently, like it would fall apart. The giant reached us. Its long arm struck the rear. The truck spun, half a turn, but somehow I controlled it, kept driving, and it kept coming, trying to grab us like it was playing, not hunting us.
Up ahead, there was an overpass. Part of it had collapsed, and there was a gap about 5 meters wide. No brakes, no time to turn. There was only one option. We had to jump. I screamed, "Hold on!" Lena grabbed the dashboard, shut her eyes tight, and the car launched into the air. For a second, we actually made it across, but we landed hard on the other side. The suspension snapped. A tire blew out. The car scraped the ground, sparks flying everywhere until it slammed into a concrete barrier and stopped. We got out, dizzy, barely standing. We looked back. The giant couldn't make the jump. It stopped at the edge, screaming, but we couldn't stop. We had to keep moving, on foot toward the forest that leads to the mountain. Night fell. Everything went dark. We entered the forest at the base of the mountain. This was the last thing standing between us and the gate. But then we saw it. The nightmare. The forest wasn't empty. It was full of sleeping giants. Hundreds of them, standing between the trees like statues, heads hanging down, eyes shut, in a deep sleep. They sleep at night to conserve energy. The sight was enough to freeze your blood, and we had to pass through them,
silently, no mistakes. Because if one wakes up, they all wake up. We gathered our courage and started moving, slowly, carefully. I could hear their breathing like massive air pumps, and the smell was suffocating. Halfway through, we had to climb over what looked like a fallen tree trunk. But when we got closer, we realized the truth. It wasn't a tree. It was a leg, a giant's leg, and it was asleep. There was no other way. Lena went first, light, careful. I followed right behind her. But as I climbed down, my foot slipped. I fell and hit its arm. The giant let out a deep snore. Its body twitched. Its hand started moving toward where I hit it, like it was scratching. And we froze, holding our breath. So hard, my chest felt like it would explode. Slowly, the giant scratched its arm, then went still again, back to sleep. A few seconds passed, but they felt like a lifetime. Then we kept moving, nerves completely shattered. And suddenly, the air changed. A cold shift and strong winds started blowing around us.
The wind started howling. Branches slammed into each other, making noise, and that noise alerted them. One of them opened its eye. Its eye lit up the darkness and looked straight at us, and unfortunately, it saw us. The giant screamed a roar that shook the entire forest. The ground trembled. Dozens of them started opening their eyes and moving. That's when I screamed, "Run, don't stop!" I grabbed Lena and we took off. A suicide sprint through the forest, jumping over roots and rocks while they chased us, crushing trees, shaking the ground, their footsteps getting closer, their screams filling the air. We burst out of the forest, gasping, our legs shaking, clothes torn apart, bodies covered in mud and blood. In front of us, a steep, rocky slope, and at the top, the dream, the gate, a massive circular gate carved into the mountain, wide open, and from inside, a warm yellow light, clean air, safety, everything we dreamed of. There was no time. The gate was open, like it was calling us. We ran, climbing the slope. Behind us, the sound of trees snapping, getting closer. But then, the real nightmare appeared. From the mountain itself, a giant, massive, muscles twisted and tight, face full of rage. It leaped from a high rock and landed right between us and the gate. The ground shook beneath us. Dust exploded into our faces. This one was different. This one was a hunter. It looked at both of us and smiled, a terrifying smile. It raised its massive arm and slammed the ground. With one punch, the rock cracked. A shockwave burst out and hit us hard. I was thrown to the left, close, so close to the gate. But Lena was thrown to the right, far away, into an open slope, exposed. I got up, dizzy, looked around. Now, only a few steps between me and the gate. The path completely clear. But then I looked the other way. I saw Lena trying to stand, her leg injured. The giant turned, looked at her, and chose to go after her. She was farther, easier prey. Lena looked at it, then looked at me, and I was standing there, right in front of the gate.
The gate, right there. And in 1 second, I calculated everything. If she runs toward me, the giant will reach us both at the gate, and we die together. If I run toward her, we won't make it back. The giant will tear us apart, right in the middle. Lena made the hardest choice. She looked at me, her eyes full of tears, and screamed at the top of her lungs, "Go, Mark, get inside, I'll find you there." But instead of running toward me, she turned her back and ran in the opposite direction, straight into the dark forest, toward the edge of the mountain. She kept screaming, making noise, drawing the giant's attention away from me, away from the gate. I screamed, "No!" I tried to move toward her, but in that moment, the giant took the bait. It roared and charged after her, leaving the gate behind. I saw her, running, limping, disappearing into the trees, into the darkness, the giant right behind her, until they both vanished into the black, the sound of its footsteps fading away, and me standing there, right at the threshold. Behind me, the gate, wide open, warm light, clean air, a whole life waiting for me. In front of me, the dark forest, the sound of breaking trees, the giant's roar, and my wife running toward death to save me. Time stopped. My feet frozen to the ground like a statue. My mind screaming, "Go back, get in, live. This is your only chance." My heart breaking apart, screaming, "Go after her. Don't let her die alone." My body shaking, my eyes going back and forth between the light and the darkness, between life and death. I'm standing in the middle, unable to step into safety, unable to step into hell. And right here, we reach the end of part 1 of the giant story. So what do you think Mark will do? Will he enter the gate and choose life, or go back into hell to find the love of his life? Drop your predictions in the comments, and if you like this part, tell me, and I'll drop part 2 immediately.